Chapter 193. Yihua hurriedly ran to the bridal dress shop, only to see that Qinya had fallen asleep while leaning on the sofa. This foolish woman doesn't even know that I should go back first. After changing his clothes, Yihua lightly carried up his woman. Furthermore, it was a princess carry. Qinya pursed her lips, then wrapped her arms around Yihua's neck. You are back. If you are tired, why don't you go back and rest? Yihua said lightly. I was waiting for you. I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to find me. Yihua laughed. How could I not be able to find you? Qinya smiled tenderly and buried her head onto Yihua's chest. Qinya felt sweet in her heart. Many things had happened in the Ying family in the past 2 days. It could be considered a calamity. Fortunately, it was contained. However, Sun Fang's first order was that no one was allowed to spread what happened tonight. Otherwise, the entire clan would be exterminated. Death Mage was standing right behind his woman, looking at her giving out orders one after another. Why is that back view of hers becoming more and more enchanting the more I look at it? Especially when he saw her scolding others, it was really beautiful. The rebuilding of the Ying family was going on intensely. Sun Fang had been a sect leader before, so she knew how to manage things. Actually, all she had to do was to keep these family members in check. After giving the order, Sun Fang and Death Mage found a place to lean against each other and started playing the game. In actuality, Sun Fang had forgotten one thing. The token that she had in her hand was able to control 8 giant water demonic gods. These giant water demonic gods were summoned by Yihua, and their strength was far above Death Mage's. As long as Sun Fang was willing, she would be able to kill Death Mage at any time. However, for some unknown reason, Sun Fang seemed to have chosen to forget about the matter regarding the giant water demon god, and was still using her own method to get rid of Death Mage. At this moment, in Longtan City, in a leisure bar, Wei Chang brought Tang Wei and appeared in the toilet of the bar. Tang Wei was still very shocked. That scene just now seemed like something out of a sci-fi movie. That gigantic water man almost destroyed the island with a single punch, and this was just one. His honor is too formidable. When I think about how I had to send a love letter to his honor, I feel so embarrassed. Uncle Wei, it's already so late, I'll go to your house to sleep. Tang Wei tiptoed and said shyly. She was still in a state of excitement and really wanted to do something shameful with Uncle Wei. Wei Chang patted Tang Wei's head. Did you forget that Uncle Wei has a car? Uncle Wei can send you back. Tang Wei, Uncle Wei was the most honest man she had ever met. After walking out of the toilet, Tang Wei pulled onto Wei Chang. Uncle Wei, they are still there. Wei Chang abruptly slapped onto his own head. Why isn't he properly cultivating at home? What is he doing here? I don't know, but looking at him, it seems like he won't be able to live past tonight. Yihua asked confusedly, is he going to die? And, Your Honor, do you want me to keep him? Yihua thought for a bit. I just subdued a black robe in the south, and the north still lacks a black robe. Keep him. Yes. After finished speaking, Yihua continued hugging onto Qinya and continued sleeping. So comfortable. Wei Chang took a look at Xiao Yi and Shu Nan who was kneeling on the ground. You two wait for a while. After finished speaking, Wei Chang turned around and left. Shu Nan was overjoyed. She stood up and held onto her husband's hand. Brother Xiao, hold on. Cough, cough, cough. Shu Nan, in the future, this family will be relying on you. If you meet someone who is better than me, don't feel pressured. Xiao Yi was very weak, his face was completely devoid of blood. If not for his strong spiritual energy supporting him, he would have died a few days ago. Shu Nan shouted out, Brother Xiao. What kind of words are you saying? I, Shu Nan, am your woman in this life, and I will still be your woman in my next life. Xiao Yi gasped for breath, and he didn't even have the strength to speak anymore. Suddenly, a black whirlpool appeared in front of the two, and a figure could be seen walking out of the whirlpool. The figure's entire body was covered by black fog. Xiao Yi and Shu Nan looked blankly at the figure. The scene back then was still vivid in their minds. That figure was that black-gowned boss. Wei Chang was having a hard time pretending to be Xiao Yi, and Xiao Tang was still waiting outside. "What's the matter?" Wei Chang asked gravely, and his voice had completely changed. Xiao Yi could be seen to be very excited. Hugging onto his guitar case, his entire body trembled as he lied on the ground. Slowly opening the guitar case, a golden bright and dazzling Xianyuan sword appeared in front of everyone. Xiao Yi could be seen kneeling in front of Wei Chang. Just a moment ago, Xiao Yi moved a bit, and right now, he was gasping for breath. If it wasn't for Shu Nan supporting him, he would have already fallen. I can give you my sword and my life. Can you protect my wife and child?" Xiao Yi said this sentence intermittently, but to Xiao Yi, after saying this sentence, he felt that it was even more difficult for him to breathe, and his entire body began trembling. Chapter 194. Wei Chang stretched out his hand, and Xianyuan's sword floated in his hand, then said faintly, "This sword is trash, your life is also trash." Letting go of his hand, Xianyuan's sword fell back into the box, but Wei Chang intentionally left a trace of his own aura on it. Hearing Wei Chang's words and Xianyuan's sword falling down, Xiao Yi coughed violently and tried to crawl towards Wei Chang, begging him to save his wife and child. "However, you are very lucky. I like to save trash's life." A black fog drilled into Xiao Yi's head, and the latter immediately fainted. Brother Xiao. Tell him, I can save him, and also kill him." Shu Nan was very sensible. She knelt down and said, "From now on, Xiao family will listen to Lord's orders." Wei Chang nodded his head, then disappeared and appeared in the back alley. "Xiao Tang, let's go." Wei Chang smiled and said. Tang Weiwei smiled gently. In the leisure bar, Shu Nan was currently checking her husband's pulse, and finally let out a sigh of relief. Her husband's pulse is stable, and his aura is even more vigorous than before. This person is too powerful to actually be able to save a person who is about to die. Shu Nan helped Xiao Yi to a seat and waited patiently for 10 minutes. Shu Nan went into a daze. "Why is Brother Xiao crying? Isn't this a woman's specialty? Where am I?" Xiao Yi raised his head and asked in a daze. Shu Nan's heart sunk. Did something happen? "Brother Xiao. Look at me." Shu Nan pressed onto Xiao Yi's cheek and asked nervously. Xiao Yi, who was in a daze, suddenly smiled and hugged onto his woman. Shu Nan was startled for a moment and punched fiercely. "You bastard, you scared me to death. I will beat you to death." Xiao Yi hugged onto the woman tightly, and after a long time, he said gently, "Shu Nan, thank you. Brother Xiao." Listening to that powerful heartbeat, Shu Nan was finally at ease. "Alright, let's go back." Xiao Yi stood up and looked at Xianyuan's sword that was on the ground. His expression didn't change much as he closed the box and picked it up. "Brother Xiao, are we leaving just like this?" Shu Nan took a look at the surroundings and asked confusedly. Xiao Yi nodded and a black mist flashed through his black eyes. "And there are still many things waiting for us to do. I want to see how many people want to betray me." Shu Nan nodded. It was a miracle that they had escaped from death this time. Even so, it would be even more dangerous next. Everyone stared at the Xianyuan sword in Brother Xiao's hand. Brother Xiao seemed to be planning to continue pretending to be sick to lure out those hidden enemies. This was good. Just like that, a miraculous day passed. The Ying family, one of the 3 giants, sank into a sea of pain, while the Xiao family, an ordinary family, had a day of great joy. This incident was enough to prove that luck was really important. He was not lying. Alright, I was lying. In actuality, everything is within Yihua's control. The next morning, Yihua was once again pulled up by Qinya. Of course, Qinya only managed to pull Yihua up after pulling him up for an hour. Qinya didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Such a grown man is actually dawdling on the bed, and he still won't get down without kissing me a few times, acting shamelessly. Yihua, who was pulled out of bed, was in a very bad mood. Since I, the Supreme Overlord, am in a bad mood, there is definitely someone else who is going to be out of luck. Qin Yutong and Yizizi were two unlucky fellows. Today, they were filming an outdoor scene. They were definitely tired. Even if Qin Yutong and Yizizi wanted to run away, they wouldn't be able to, their butts were still hurting. However, this pair of bridesmaids was indeed interesting. This outdoor scene was almost as good as a celebrity's autograph signing session. Other than the cameraman, there was also a group of people taking photos of the bridesmaids. After all, the man was handsome, the woman was beautiful, and there was also a little lowly. This combination was too good. 2,500 kilometers away, there was an even more miserable scene. Big brother, do we really have to do this? Little brother Red asked sorrowfully. Big brother Green took a puff of his cigarette, then looked at little Ollie, who was standing at the side, and said gravely, "Sell, 3,000 RMB. Are you really going to sell it?" That's right, Big brother Green had the idea of selling the car. This Wuling Hongguang was bought by me using all of my savings. Although I bought a second-hand car for 30,000 RMB, and all of them were used to transport goods, if I don't sell it now, what am I going to eat? Big brother, let's go and get the money. Big brother Green stretched out his hand and slapped. Are you stupid? If I were to go and get the money, wouldn't I be exposing my position? This is possible as well. Little brother Red asked puzzledly. Nonsense. Once I withdraw the money, the bank will know where to withdraw it. Then we will be surrounded. That's how it is on TV. Why don't you grow a brain? Little brother Red pouted his mouth. Who in the world would think about such things when watching TV? Hey, are you still selling this car? The boss of the black shop shouted impatiently. This car was not bad, and he could earn a few thousand if he sold it. Big brother Green hastily said, sell. Dong Guangli could be seen walking to Big brother Green's side, then pulling onto the corner of Big brother Green's clothes, Uncle Green. Big brother Green, who originally had a stern face, turned around and smiled. Ollie, what's wrong? Uncle Green will treat you to McDonald's. Uncle Green, Ollie doesn't want to eat McDonald's anymore, it's not delicious. Dong Huangli was naturally able to tell that her two uncles didn't have any money. How could it be possible for them to go and eat such expensive food? Big brother Green carried Dong Huangli and asked with a smile, what does Ollie want to eat? Uncle Green will buy it for you. Ollie wants to eat buns. The Green and Red brothers sighed in their hearts. What a sensible child. Rubbing onto Ollie's head, Big brother Green said with a smile, all right, I will ask Uncle Red to buy meat buns for you. Looking at his underling who was bringing Ollie to buy meat buns, Big brother Green pointed at the motorcycle at the side and asked, Boss, how much is your motorcycle? 1,000 renminbi. The boss immediately asked for an exorbitant price. Big brother Green had ridden a lot of motorcycles in the past. Taking a look at the motorcycle, it was actually not bad, but 1,000 renminbi was too expensive. Are you selling it for 500 renminbi? Not selling. Forget it then. Hey, little brother, please wait, we can discuss the price. The boss immediately shouted out. That motorcycle had been placed here for 2 months, it is best for me to sell it now, 800 renminbi, you can take it. Bye-bye. 600. Forget it. Alright, 500 renminbi, you can take it. The boss didn't want to waste too much space on the motorcycle. Taking the 2,500 renminbi and a motorcycle that was emitting black smoke, the three headed south. When it rained, they would hide from the rain. When it rained at night, they would randomly find a place to sleep. Although it was quite embarrassing, the entire journey was filled with laughter. At night, it rained again. Big Brother Green hurriedly looked for a place to take shelter from the rain. Fortunately, there was an old house that had collapsed by the roadside. The Green and Red brothers' afro heads had already collapsed, and it seemed like they were going to need to be ligated. Little Ali's face looked very crafty, but his pair of eyes were very bright. This damn weather in the South Shore is filled with water. Little Brother Red shook off the water that was on his head and sighed. Chapter 195. Ali rubbed onto his stomach. In actuality, I am very hungry. Ali isn't hungry. Dong Huangli said, then moved her body closer to the fire. After interacting with Ali for the past few days, the Green and Red brothers knew Ali's personality. She was especially caring and considerate. Dong Huangli stood up, then walked to the back of Big Brother Green and said with a smile, "Uncle Green, you have been riding a motorcycle for an entire day. Ali will give you a massage." "Thank you, Ali. I'm not tired at all. I'm in high spirits." Actually, Big Brother Green's shoulders were aching, and he felt that his shoulders were about to be dislocated. However, Ali was still massaging Big Brother Green's shoulders. Little Brother Red suddenly said angrily, "Big Brother, the people in the family are too vicious. They actually reported us, and even said that we stole chickens from the neighboring village 1 year ago." Sigh, a friend in need is a friend indeed. I have decided to withdraw from the family. Big Brother Green lit up a wrinkled cigarette. "Good idea. How about we start our own clan? What's his name?" The underling was very excited. Big Brother Green spat out a mouthful of smoke, and said indifferently, "Let's call it the Buried Love Clan. F***ck me. What a good name. It's deep, artistic, and creative." "In that case, Ali wants to join as well," Dong Huangli said with a smile on her face. Big Brother Green said with a smile, "It's fine if you're just a brat, we'll talk about it when you grow up." If Ali wants it, our Burying Love family already has 3 members, who is going to be the boss? Little Brother Red stood up and said, "You all should quickly acknowledge me as the boss." Dong Huangli immediately raised her hand. "Ali will be the boss." Big Brother Green was speechless. Little Brother Red stood up and said with a smile, "Ali, what's so good about being the boss? Watch Uncle Red show you a spiral-style Thomas spin." Poke, poke, poke. For a moment, dust filled the air, and Big Brother Green and Dong Huangli immediately covered their mouths and noses. "Don't F***king turn around, our back mountain was flattened by you." Big Brother Green couldn't take it anymore. Little Brother Red clapped his hands and stood up. "Big Brother, during the family competition last year, you were ranked first in Thomas spin." "Ah, Uncle Green is number 1. So formidable." Dong Huangli cried out in surprise. Dong Huangli felt that being ranked first was already very formidable. Big Brother Green was very modest. "It's all in the past. A real man doesn't talk about his past achievements." "Big Brother, show it to Ali." Dong Huangli also said, "Uncle Green, Ali wants to watch you spin." "Alright, Uncle Green will perform for Ali." Big Brother Green could be seen patting his buttocks as he walked towards his little brother's position. Poke, poke, poke. As expected of the first place in the family competition, it was as if a smokescreen had been thrown at the scene. Big Brother Green's figure had disappeared. Dong Huangli, cough, cough, cough. Little Brother Red, cough, 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 cough. Little Brother Red thought to himself. To think that the one who said that I flattened the rear mountain was obviously you, Big Brother. Happy times always passed quickly. The 3 of them gradually fell asleep and continued their journey south the next day. 10 days later, the three of them stood at the plaza of Long and City and looked at the huge statue. A middle-aged woman took a look and slowly took out 5 yuan and put it on the ground. "Auntie! Come back, I look like a beggar with that eye of yours." Little brother Red shouted out. The auntie turned around and gave him a look of disdain. "Are you crazy? It's not like it's for you." The corner of little brother Red's mouth twitched. "Are you trying to say that I am even inferior to a beggar?" Dong Wangli picked up the 5 RMB that was on the ground, then said to the auntie, "Thank you, auntie." The auntie walked back and took out 10 yuan. "Little friend, go buy something to eat. The motorcycle broke down on the way here, and it was the kind that couldn't be repaired." Big Brother Green also used up all his money, but he still insisted on not withdrawing money. If he really wanted to withdraw money, he would only do it as a last resort. While holding on to the money in her hand, Dong Wangli, who had a sneaky look on her face, said with a smile, "Uncle, Ollie has money now, I will treat you all to a meal." The Green and Red brothers stroked Ollie's head and said with a smile, "Uncle is not hungry, Ollie can eat by himself." "This won't do, if uncles aren't going to eat, Ollie isn't going to eat as well." Dong Wangli pouted her small mouth. Dong Wangli had a look of, "If uncles aren't going to eat, I'm going to go on a hunger strike." Upon hearing Ollie's words, the Green and Red brothers glanced at each other. "This sentence is worth it." Dong Wangli bought a steamed bun and pinched it into 3 pieces. However, Dong Wangli's portion was at least half of the steamed bun, and the Red and Green brothers didn't have much. They found a park and sat on a bench. The three of them slowly tasted the world's most delicious steamed buns. "Ollie, now that we have arrived at Long and City, where do your daddy and mommy live?" Big Brother Green asked. "I feel that after going through 81 trials and tribulations, I have finally sent my little ancestor to their destination." Let's go," Dong Wangli said. The Green and Red brothers went into a daze. "What do you mean? Let's go? It's Qing, right?" Dong Wangli said with a pure accent. "Big brother, I have heard of bars before, but I have never heard of it before." Little brother Red said confusedly. Big Brother Green stretched out his hand and slapped on Little Brother Red's hand. "Are you stupid? My phone is out of battery, let's search one by one then." Little Brother Red let out a breath. "This is such a big city, how are we supposed to search? Seems like this adventure of mine is not over yet." After finishing eating, the three of them began searching for the so-called Qing bar. However, they suddenly discovered something: the Qing bar seems to be closed during the day. Walking to the bustling street, the three of them indeed became the center of attention. Suddenly, a burst of fragrance wafted over, causing the three of them to stop their footsteps and look towards their right. King Song Mansion's hot pot restaurant. The Green and Red brothers pursed their lips, and Dong Wangli directly swallowed her saliva. "There are so many people queuing up," Dong Wangli muttered. "Big brother, the food inside looks very delicious." Little Brother Red was about to drool. "That's right," Dong Wangli said foolishly. Suddenly, a man who was wearing a suit stood at the entrance and smoked. Looking at the three of them, the man's brows wrinkled. "The three of you, stand further away, I don't want to affect my customer's appetite." Dong Wangli pulled onto Big Brother Green's hand. "Uncle, let's hurry up and leave, don't affect them while they are eating." Big Brother Green was in a bad mood. "What are you shouting about? This road belongs to your family, even people who come from the countryside are more cultured than you. You still dare to talk back to me, get lost, if not see how I am going to take care of you." Dong Wangli pointed at the manager and said with a childish voice, "Uncle, you are a bad person. Yo, where did this little beggar come from? Your mouth is so unforgiving, you don't even have a bit of upbringing." The Green and Red brothers looked at little Ollie with bloodshot eyes and immediately exploded. The Green and Red brothers rolled up their sleeves and shouted, "You fucking dare to say that one more time." Seeing that the Green and Red brothers were going to risk their lives, the manager immediately hid inside the restaurant. "If you still don't leave, I am going to call the police. Fuck, if I don't teach you a lesson today, I will dye my hair green." After speaking, Little Brother Red rushed into the restaurant, scaring the people that were queuing up to immediately move aside. Big Brother Green also rushed into the restaurant, and immediately, sounds of fighting could be heard coming from inside the restaurant. In less than a minute, the Red and Green brothers ran out of the restaurant with a panicked look on their faces, then carried Dong Huang Li and ran away madly. More than 10 chefs could be seen rushing out of the restaurant, and each of them was holding onto a kitchen knife. "Big Brother, there is an alley over here, run over there." Big Brother Green slapped onto Little Brother Red's back. "What if that alley is blocked? Quickly run." "You are right." Chapter 196. The Green and Red brothers, who were carrying Dong Huang Li, had no idea how long they had been running for. In any case, they no longer had any strength to continue running. "Ollie, are you okay?" Big Brother Green gasped for breath. Fortunately, it had practiced the Thomas spin before, so its physical strength could keep up. Dong Huang Li said with a baby voice, "Uncle Green, lower your head." And Big Brother Green was confused. However, he still squatted down slowly. Dong Huang Li could be seen using her sleeve to wipe off Big Brother Green's sweat. Upon seeing this, Little Brother Red immediately squatted down together with his big brother and said, "Ollie, Uncle Red wants it too." "And Ollie will help Uncle Red wipe his sweat right away," Dong Huang Li said with a smile. Originally, the two of them were very angry. However, when they saw how attentive Dong Huang Li was, all of the anger in their hearts disappeared. "Dong Huang Li is too obedient to the point that I don't want her to suffer any harm." The three of them continued to wander around in this unfamiliar city. Dong Huang Li was standing in the middle of the Red and Green brothers, holding on to their big hands, and jumping around from time to time. To Dong Huang Li, although the past few days were bitter, she was still very happy. Compared to when she was in Voidless Realm, she was much happier. When the night arrived, the Green and Red brothers began to bring Dong Huang Li along as they went from bar to bar to bar. However, it was a pity that they did not manage to find anything. "Uncle Green, Uncle Red, Ollie wants to confess something to the two of you." Dong Huang Li stopped her footsteps, and with a pitiful look on her face, Dong Huang Li slightly lowered her head and interlocked her fingers. With such a cute look, no matter how big the matter was, no one could bear to hit or scold her. The two squatted beside Dong Huang Li, then asked curiously, "Little ancestor, what do you want to confess?" Actually, the person that Ollie came here to look for isn't Daddy and Mommy. Ollie came here to look for Aunt Qing." After finished speaking, Dong Huang Li pinched onto her own ears, seemingly as if she was preparing to receive punishment. The Green and Red brothers went into a daze. Big Brother Green rubbed onto Dong Huang Li's head and said, "It's all right, let's just look for Aunt Qing." But calling her Aunt Qing, this name is very strange. If Dong Huang Li knew what her two uncles were thinking, she would definitely faint. Her surname is Qing. Furthermore, she is meeting an online friend. After walking for a while, a bar called Baidu appeared in front of the three of them. There were quite a lot of people there, and they could even line up. Big Brother Green asked, "Ollie, what characteristics does your Aunt Qing have?" Dong Huang Li thought for a while. "Aunt Qing often says that I am beautiful, and also have a lot of money. Beautiful and rich." Kuin Chong, who was sitting in the boss's chair, stood up, took out a cigar, and sniffed it. "The little girl stays. You can go." It wasn't that the Green and Red brothers didn't mingle in the outside world before, it was just that they had already washed their hands of the outside world and decided not to mingle anymore. In this kind of situation, there was no need to say anything more. Just fight and run. The two of them could be seen immediately kicking the jacketed man to the ground, then carrying Dong Huangli, they ran away. Kuin Chong picked up the walkie-talkie on the table. Two non-mainstream people ran out. Beat them up. Bring the girl back to me. Yes. Qin Lian giggled and said, when this girl grows up, I'm sure she'll earn a lot of money. I'll feed you until you grow up first. Annoying outside, the Green and Red brothers were already surrounded. In this narrow passageway, there were 5 people at the front and 5 people at the back. Big brother, what should we do? What should we do? Who said that non-mainstream people don't know how to fight? Dong Huangli also wanted to go up and help, but she was immediately pulled back by the 2 brothers. Big brother, there are too many people. Little brother Red held onto his arm when he saw that his arm had turned red. The more they fought, the more people there were. Furthermore, the other party had weapons. Big brother Green carried on to Dong Huangli, then gestured towards the window. This little brother naturally understood what Dong Huangli meant by jumping out of the window. Big brother Green could be seen taking the lead. While carrying on to Dong Huangli, he used his arm to smash the window. Luckily, it was only the 2nd floor, and furthermore, it wasn't his first time jumping onto the 2nd floor. Ollie, are you alright? Big brother Green asked hurriedly. Dong Huangli was already crying. Uncles treat me too well. Dong Huangli said while choking with emotions, Ollie is fine. At this moment, little brother Red jumped down from the window and shouted out, Big brother, quickly leave. Sure enough, over 10 youngsters rushed out from the back door while holding onto steel pipes and fruit knives. Big brother Green cursed inwardly, then carried on to Dong Huangli and ran away. While running, little brother Red cursed out loudly, did you guys run marathons before? You guys have already run a few streets, yet you are still chasing after me. How can the city's hoodlums run so well? Big brother Green cursed out. The chase was still continuing. The Green and Red brothers were already out of breath from running, and the group of hoodlums behind them were the same as well. However, they still didn't give up. Little brother Red turned around and pointed at the hoodlums and shouted out, how big of a hatred do you guys have for me to chase after you guys for a few kilometers? One of the hoodlums could be seen holding onto the railing and said while gasping for breath, I just can't stand you non-mainstream people. Fuck. If it wasn't for me being hungry today, I would have already knocked you down. Little brother Red was very imposing, but his appearance wasn't impressive at all. Brothers, chop them to death. Little brother Red cursed out, then ran away once again. Chapter 197. The boss of the delinquents at the back signaled to the delinquents to surround them. This was the advantage of being a local tyrant, they knew the location of the delinquents. While carrying Dong Huangli, Little Red ran into the alleyway. However, just when he ran to the center of the alleyway, the road in front of him was blocked. Big brother Green stretched out his hand and slapped, where are the bends, open a path for me. Big brother, I didn't know that it would be like this either, there are indeed a lot of bends in our village, while in the big city, there are a lot of bends. Little brother Red felt wronged. Dong Huangli said in a low voice, Uncle, let's surrender, Oli has a way. Surrender? That's impossible, it's impossible in this lifetime. Big brother Green looked to the side. There is actually a bar here as well. Aren't you afraid of closing down by opening a bar here? Qing Bar, the name is too ugly. Big brother Green said gravely, let's hide inside first. Good idea. Without thinking, the two immediately pushed open the door and entered the house beside them. Those delinquents hurriedly ran over, but did not rush into the house. Big brother, what should we do? What else can we do, let's go. Not long later, all of the delinquents left. In actuality, in Longtan City, all of the bars wouldn't take the initiative to provoke this bar. It wasn't that they didn't provoke this bar before, it was that they couldn't afford to provoke this bar, because this bar was called Qing Bar. Green and Red brothers laid at the entrance of the bar and looked outside with a puzzled look. Why did they all run away? Uncle, they all ran away. Dong Huangli was also feeling dizzy. Dong Huangli was completely confused. Suddenly, a voice rang out from behind. Sorry, the bar is already closed. Wei Chang said courteously, just like a gentleman. Green and Red brothers turned around and said embarrassedly, all right, we will leave now. Dong Huangli could be seen turning around and saying with a childish voice, sorry for disturbing. When Wei Chang saw Dong Huangli's face, his pitch-black eyes immediately became serious. Why does this child look so much like his honor? Furthermore, there is actually a slight aura being emitted out from her body. This aura, wait. Wei Chang's expression changed greatly, looking very sinister. This loud shout startled Tang Wei, who was cleaning at the back. She immediately ran over and asked, Uncle Wei, what happened? Wei Chang slowly walked towards Dong Huangli. The Green and Red brothers immediately stood in front of Dong Huangli, and the Green and Red brothers looked like they were going to risk their lives to block Dong Huangli's path. Right now, Wei Chang was very emotional, and even Tang Wei was unable to hold him back. Bang! The Green and Red brothers were sent flying to the sides, knocked against the wall, and fainted. Uncle Green, Uncle Red. Dong Huangli shouted out anxiously. She wanted to run over and check on their injuries, but her body was bound by a formless power. Dong Huangli could be seen glaring at Wei Chang, then said with a childish voice, Bad uncle, let go of me. You're a bad person. Uncle Wei. Tang Wei shouted out worriedly. Wei Chang didn't pay attention to Dong Huangli and was fixedly staring at Dong Huangli. All kinds of possibilities were appearing in his mind. Let me go. Dong Huangli suddenly became enraged, and her pair of eyes immediately flickered with a red light. Dong Huangli's powerful aura burst out, and she actually broke free from Wei Chang's restraint, then threw her small fist towards Wei Chang. Right now, Wei Chang was extremely excited. This aura is actually the same as his honor's aura. Then who was she? Moreover, a little girl was actually able to break free from his restraints. This was too unbelievable. Wei Chang stretched out his index finger, and Dong Huangli's small fist struck onto Wei Chang's index finger. A berserk qi swept out in all directions. Wei Chang hurriedly dispelled this wave of qi, otherwise he would have to clean up again. Dong Huangli, who stretched out her small fist, seemed to have used too much strength, then slowly closed her eyes. Wei Chang stretched out his hand and hugged onto Dong Huangli. Uncle Wei, she? Tang Wei asked curiously. Xiao Tang, Uncle Wei won't be sending you back today, something big happened. Wei Chang held onto Dong Huangli's small hand and sensed the aura within Dong Huangli's body. That's right. This is his honor's aura, and it is actually so pure. Tang Wei wrinkled her brows and said worriedly, Uncle Wei, I'll stay here and accompany you then. Wei Chang nodded his head, then immediately contacted his honor. I'm afraid that his honor's vacation will end in advance. Yi Hua, who was far away in Sanya, was currently feeling rather comfortable. Ever since that day when they were filming the outdoor scene, Yi Hua and Qin Yutong couldn't bear to watch on anymore. Yi Zizi calculated for a bit. In this 1 hour, Yi Hua would kiss at least 10 times. Qin Yutong calculated for a bit. Big sister would be kissed at least 240 times a day. So scary, indeed. Sometimes, not only would Yi Hua take the initiative, Qin Ye had also learned to take the initiative. This made Yi Hua very happy. In the end, the two of them indulged in pleasure to the point that they forgot about their duties. If they didn't kiss each other, they would feel that something was missing. In actuality, this also meant that the relationship between Yihua and Qinya had already risen to a certain level. In the past, Qinya would passively accept it, and sometimes, she would even say that she wanted Yihua to admit that she was a swindler. But now, there was no need for that at all. For example, right now, Yihua was fiercely biting onto Qinya, and Qinya had a look of enjoyment on her face as she hugged onto Yihua's neck. After a long time, they finally separated. My lips are already swollen from being sucked on by you. Qinya pursed her cherry lips. This hateful fellow is becoming more and more like a child. Yihua directly carried Qinya into his embrace and lightly caressed Qinya's lower abdomen. Feeling the little fellow's aura, it's very pure. Yihua, what do you think our child should be called? Qinya asked curiously while lying on Yihua's chest. Yihua said faintly, that is definitely the most resounding name. Could it be Yi Shengliang? Yihua couldn't help but knock on Qinya's forehead. To think that you can even think of something like that. You hit my forehead again, what should I do if I become stupid? Qinya puffed out her cheeks and looked at Yihua with hidden bitterness. Seeing that the woman was acting coquettishly, Yihua couldn't help but press down on her and fiercely bite down on her. So soft and so sweet. Your honor. Your honor. Just as Yihua was enjoying his wife's lips, Wei Chang's exclamation rang out in his mind. While kissing onto Qinya's lips, Yihua replied coldly, if there's nothing, don't disturb me. Your honor, something big happened. Yihua sat up and wrinkled his brows. Wei Chang never talked about something big before. Even if he never talked about it before. To be able to make me so flustered. Yihua, what's wrong? Qinya asked concernedly. Yihua shook his head, then walked to the balcony and lit up a cigarette. What's going on? Your honor, you should quickly come back and take a look. This matter is really hard to explain. Look at what? Yihua asked coldly. This fellow's so-called big matter is looking at things. Looking at a person, your honor, this matter cannot be sloppy. Since Qinya had already said it to this point, Yihua didn't ask anymore. However, he wasn't very anxious. Walking into the house, Yihua asked, Qinya, book the earliest flight tomorrow, we are going back. Did something happen? Qinya immediately became worried. Yihua laughed lightly, don't worry, it's just a small matter. Stop bragging, if it's just a small matter, then what's the big matter? Yihua stretched out his hand and lifted onto Qinya's chin, then said faintly, to me, you are my big matter. Yihua. You have changed. Qinya cried out in surprise. You've become glib. I want the original version of Yihua, you are too bad I want to downgrade, sorry, I will only become worse and worse. After speaking, Yihua pressed onto Qinya once again. In the past, I felt that the king not attending morning court was bullshit*t, but now, I feel that the saying is indeed somewhat reasonable. Chapter 198. Qin Yutang and Yizizi were lying on the ground all the way back, not knowing what the two of them were doing at night. 1.5 hours later, they arrived at Longpan City's airport. Qin Yutang and Yizizi continued to act as walking zombies. Qinya looked at her own little sister and shook her head. How old are you already, and yet you are still playing around with Yizizi? To be precise, it should be Yizizi playing with Qin Yutang. 40 minutes later, the group finally arrived at the entrance of Leisure Bar. Yihua, I want to eat Chinese jianbing, brother-in-law, I want to eat too, big brother. Zizi wants to eat too, I also want to add eggs and ham sausage, Yihua said faintly, carry the luggage inside by yourself. Brother-in-law, aren't you embarrassed to let 3 beautiful women carry so many things? Yihua turned his head around and said to his sister-in-law, moving is fine too. Brother-in-law, how can I let you carry such heavy things? Leave them all to me, I have great strength. Qinya rolled her eyes at her little sister, where is your moral integrity? Big sister Qing, Zizi has little strength, I will leave it to you, I am going upstairs to sleep. After finished speaking, Zizi held on to Qin Ya's hand and bounced into leisure bar. Qin Yutong looked at the 5 big chests and let out a deep sigh. Why are you all bullying me, inside leisure bar? Wei Chang and Dong Huangli were looking at each other, and the atmosphere was a bit strange. Tang Wei, who was standing behind Wei Chang, didn't know what to say either. Why did Uncle Wei suddenly go and make things difficult for a child? Green and red brothers were tied onto a stool, and black cloth was stuffed onto their mouths. Who knows what they were wiping? Big brother Green, woo. Imperial translation, if you have the guts, let's have a fight. Little brother Red, woo. Imperial translation, beauty, do you want to know about non-mainstream? Dong Huangli pouted her mouth and said angrily, Uncle, you are a bad person. Who are you? Wei Chang asked seriously. Ali is not going to tell you. Dong Huangli snorted and turned her head. Wei Chang continued asking, where did you come from? Not telling. Not telling. I won't say it even if you beat me to death. Veins were popping out on Wei Chang's forehead. It was clear that Wei Chang was angered quite a bit by little Ollie. However, before his honor returns, Wei Chang didn't dare to do anything to little Ollie. Gurgle, Dong Huangli's stomach let out a growl, and Dong Huangli, who was originally aggressive, immediately blushed. Dong Huangli's big eyes even took a glance at Wei Chang and Tang Wei. Pfft. Tang Wei was amused by Dong Huangli's expression. Dong Huangli is so cute. Big sister, don't think that just because you are beautiful, you can laugh at Ollie. Ollie hasn't eaten anything for an entire day. It is normal for her stomach to be growling, Dong Huangli snorted. They are definitely the ones who kidnapped little Ollie. Qinya walked over and said tenderly, Ollie, be good, don't cry. Ollie, don't cry, Ollie, be happy. And Qing, as expected, all of you look very beautiful, all of you look exactly the same. This sentence was very pleasant to hear. Women wouldn't turn away from other people's praises. However, Qinya glared at her younger sister. Why aren't you changing your face? You are Aunt Yi. You are only a bit taller than Ollie. Dong Huangli pointed at Yi Zizi and cried out in surprise. The corner of Yi Zizi's mouth twitched slightly. Don't call me aunt, I am only a bit taller than you. A little thing calling another little thing aunt, don't you think that's a bit hurtful? Big brother, their relationship is so complicated. Little brother Red said in a low voice. And, there are so many aunties. Yi Zizi looked around for a bit, then asked curiously, where is uncle? Qinya pinched onto Dong Huangli's little face and said tenderly, Uncle is outside to buy something, he will be coming over very soon. Why do I suddenly feel that Ollie looks a bit like, who does she look like? At this moment, Yihua walked in from the outside while holding onto a Chinese jianbing and said faintly, your breakfast. Just that, right after Yihua finished speaking, Yihua froze, as if his acupoints were poked by someone, and he stared blankly at Dong Huangli, who was in Qin Yutong's embrace. Meanwhile, Dong Huangli was also staring blankly at Yihua. Qinya looked left and right. No wonder I felt that Ollie looks like a person just now, doesn't she look like Yihua? However, Qin Yutong had the same thought as well. Don't look at how Ollie looks like a person right now, her eyes, nose, and mouth are actually so similar to brother-in-law's. This is too mystical, right? She can't be brother-in-law's illegitimate daughter, right? Qin Yutong immediately understood the truth. However, Qinya didn't think that Yihua was an illegitimate daughter. In actuality, she didn't dare to think that way. Right now, Yihua's breathing was a bit hurried. This little girl actually has my aura, how is this possible? Chapter 199. Yihua, who had never been nervous before, right now, he seemed very nervous and confused. Dong Wangli didn't have so many thoughts in her mind, she just wanted to get closer to her uncle. Dong Wangli stretched out her little hands and shouted, "Uncle, hug!" Hearing the little girl's call, Yihua didn't think much and slowly walked over, then took over Dong Wangli, who was in Qin Yutong's embrace. When Yihua carried Dong Wangli in his embrace, he discovered that their bloodlines were connected. Could she be my child? Did she pop out from the crack of a rock? Or did she grow out from a vine? Dong Wangli felt a very comfortable smell. She just wanted to hug Uncle, because Uncle smells so good, even better than Mother. Qinya's expression was a bit flustered. Looking at her, they look even more alike. Especially the gentleness on Yihua's face, and the intoxicated look on Dong Wangli's face. Qinya hurriedly shook her head and got rid of this impossible thought. However, did Yihua suddenly come back in a hurry just to see Ali? Wei Chang and Yizizi took a glance at each other. They seemed to have already realized something from his honor's appearance. Qin Yutong began to let out her rich imagination. My child has finally found her father. However, this also represented a terrifying matter. Brother-in-law has another woman outside. Qinya immediately looked towards her big sister, and as expected, her expression wasn't very good. I reckon that big sister is thinking the same thing as me. Big sister hates men who are fickle in love the most, and she is even disgusted with dad having 2 women. Oh my God, if my guess is right, this will definitely be a family storm, and they might even divorce. Right now, all of Yihua's attention was placed on Dong Wangli, who was in his embrace, and he didn't notice Qinya's abnormal expression at all. The atmosphere was a bit strange, no one dared to speak. Even Yizizi, who liked to cause trouble, was silent. After a long time, Yihua looked towards the green and red brothers. The latter was immediately startled. This man's gaze isn't very friendly. Wei Chang, drag them out. Yihua said coldly while carrying Dong Wangli. Yes. Dong Wangli, who was in Yihua's embrace, said hurriedly, Uncle, don't chase them away. According to his previous attitude, Yihua would definitely not pay attention to them, and would even teach them a lesson. No one can disobey his words. Although Qinya appeared, right now, a second person appeared. Why? Yihua's tone wasn't very stiff. Uncle, it was Uncle Green and Uncle Red who sent Ollie over. If it wasn't for Uncle Green and Uncle Red, Ollie would have starved to death. Dong Wangli raised her head and looked at Yihua. I really like this uncle. I really want to stay in his embrace forever and never come out. Yihua took a look at the green and red brothers, then said faintly, Wei Chang, I will leave them to you. Yes. Although it was just a few short words, it was enough to change the fate of the green and red brothers. However, right now, the green and red brothers were completely confused. They had no idea how powerful the man in front of them was. If they were to escort his bloodline back, they would become the next death mage. This was not something money could compare to. Big brother, in any case, we were also hoodlums in the past, but now that we have been demoted, we have to become security guards. Little brother Red said quietly. If they went back now, they would be reluctant to part with Ollie. Big brother Green said in a low voice, let's wait and see first. If they don't treat Ollie well, we will take Ollie to see Papa and Mama. That's fine. We're still wanted criminals anyway. Let's hide for a while first. Yihua carried Dong Wangli and walked upstairs. When he passed by Qinya, Yihua held on to Qinya's tender and delicate hand. When the two of them disappeared from the top of the stairs, everyone let out a breath of relief. Wei Chang was still very happy. After all, his honor has gained another bloodline. These two non-mainstream people have made a great contribution. You two will follow me in the future. Wei Chang laughed loudly. This is a happy occasion, it is worth celebrating. Yizizi revealed out a sincere smile. With more and more of his honor's bloodline, it means that his honor will be able to create a brand new dynasty just like humans. Of course, this was not the main point, the bloody process was what Yi Zizi wanted. In actuality, Wei Chang's thoughts were more or less the same. Big Brother Green patted onto his little brother's shoulder. Don't be discouraged, you will be able to protect Ali by being a security guard. I wonder how much a security guard will earn a month, will it be 2,000 RMB? Will the security guard provide food and accommodation? Little Brother Red was very worried. Big Brother Green looked towards Wei Chang and asked, Brother, there should be 5 types of insurance and 1 type of housing, right? Hearing what Big Brother Green said, everyone laughed. Yi Zizi shouted out, there are 2 honest people here, everyone, quickly come and bully them. The only ones who would be able to survive in front of a group of monsters were the Green and Red brothers. Qin Yutong laughed tenderly, then looked upstairs worriedly and started to worry in her heart. Uncle, Oli wants to sleep, Dong Huangli said while tightly hugging onto Yihua's neck. Yihua said gravely, go and take a bath first, then sleep. And, Qinya, carry Ali and take a bath. Yihua handed Dong Huangli who was in his embrace over to Qinya. Alright, Yihua, go and buy a few sets of clothes for Ali, while carrying on to Dong Huangli, Qinya said tenderly. Yihua nodded his head, then took out his phone and went to buy a few sets of clothes for Ali. And Qing, Ali is able to take a bath by herself, there is no need to trouble you. Dong Huangli said sweetly, appearing to be very sensible. Qingya was also amused by Dong Huangli's adorable expression. No matter how many suspicions I have, they are still just suspicions, Yihua will not lie to me. Little Ali, let's go and take a bath together, okay? Qinya tidied up Dong Huangli's hair and said tenderly. Then, can Ali give Aunt Qing a back rub, of course. Ali likes Aunt Qing. While laughing, Qinya carried on to Dong Huangli and walked into the bathroom. If it was any other time, Yihua, this jealous king, would definitely fly into a rage, but right now, Yihua didn't feel anything. Yihua took out a cigarette, then stood beside the window and lit it up. If Ali didn't sprout out from a crack in a rock, and didn't grow out from a vine, could it be that she was born? How is that possible? I have only touched 2 women. Thinking up to here, Yihua's gaze was filled with astonishment, and the cigarette in his hand was extinguished. That night 3 years ago, could it be that it was her? Thinking back to those few days when I was playing games, Ali said that she was almost 3 years old, and that her mother was very beautiful, but her father died. Damn it! This woman actually cursed me to die. Throwing away the cigarette, what's the point of thinking so much? I should just directly capture that woman and find out the truth. No. Qinya. Yihua's brows were solemn as he let out a heavy sigh. If Qinya were to find out about this matter, she would definitely quarrel with me. Just like during these few days when I was playing, whenever I took a look at other women, I would become extremely jealous and act coquettishly. Right now, it isn't the problem of me taking a look at a beautiful woman, and I even ended up having a child. Right now, it wasn't easy for me to train Qinya to be obedient. Could it be that I have to return back to how I was in the past? I, the Supreme Overlord, am actually being troubled by such a lousy matter. This damned human nature, I really want to go back to how I was before and return back to how I was before. For such a big matter, he had to gather his subordinates and hold a summit meeting. This is the most serious matter that I have ever encountered. Chapter 200. The Green and Red brothers who were in the lobby were very flabbergasted. Just a moment ago, they were still listening to Wei Chang's lecture, and suddenly, they said that they had a stomachache and went to the toilet, and then, the little loli upstairs also followed them and went to the toilet. Big Brother Green said in a low voice, I feel that there's something wrong with Uncle Wei and the little loli. I think so too, that Tang Wei seems to be Uncle Wei's girlfriend. Little Brother Red was very curious. The bars in the big city sure are messy, they are too brazen. Big Brother Green rubbed his head. Our way of thinking is still too old-fashioned, and we can't keep up with the pace of the big city. That's right, I feel that I have already fallen in love with the pace of a big city. Little Brother Red said with a light smile. So this is what a big city is like, it's so open in the toilet. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Wei Chang, Lai Gu, Yi Zizi, 3 of the 7 deadly sins were all present. Stop kneeling, the ground is dirty. Yi Hua said lightly. Thank you, Your Honor, for understanding us. The 3 stood up and shouted out. Pausing for a moment, Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. You all should know about what happened today, right? Lai Gu also found out about this news from Wei Chang, and he was incomparably shocked in his heart. His honor's bloodline is already out, and I thought that it would take a few more months. Subordinate thinks that this is a happy occasion. For his honor to be able to reunite with little his honor, it is a very auspicious sign. Wei Chang said with a smile, and the other 2 nodded their heads as well. Yi Hua's brows wrinkled as he said gravely, Ali is indeed my bloodline, but the person who gave birth to her. Speaking up to here, Yi Hua looked towards his 3 subordinates. You 3 should know which woman it is, right? I don't know. Yi Zizi raised her hand and shouted. She looked as if she didn't want her to answer the question. However, Wei Chang and Lai Gu knew about this matter. Lai Gu said solemnly, Your Honor, since the matter has already happened, just bring that madam over. With your honor's lofty status, it is perfectly normal for you to have another woman. Wei Chang, what do you think? Yi Hua let out a mouthful of smoke and asked. Wei Chang pondered for a moment. This subordinate feels that this matter still needs to be discussed with Furen. Of course, there is also the matter of whether the other wife is willing or not. Right now, Wei Chang knew how to think from another person's point of view, and it was precisely because of this that he had yet to push Tang Wei down. Yi Zizi pursed her lips. What's there to be unwilling about? Just grab him and bring him over. Yi Hua glared at Yi Zizi, and Yi Zizi immediately shut her mouth. In the past, his honor didn't have so many worries. It would be great if it was that easy. This was the bad side of human nature. They had to take care of one side and appease the other. How troublesome. Lai Gu, how did you get those women together? Yi Hua asked faintly. For this kind of question, I still have to consult Lai Gu. After all, Lai Gu has 3 women, and it seems like they are still able to stay together peacefully. Lai Gu pondered for a while, then said respectfully, Your Honor, subordinate doesn't know either. In any case, I just pushed, and then, as I pushed, they all ended up together. Yi Zizi had a look of disdain on her face. Lecherous dragon. I am a human, this is a human's nature, all right. Lai Gu was unwilling to accept it and argued with Yi Zizi. Wei Chang said, Your Honor, subordinate feels that those who are able to catch your honor's fancy are definitely not ordinary women. Of course, we can't use ordinary methods to get them. Yi Zizi clapped her hands. I understand now. Gluttonous monster means that if your honor buys new clothes for madam, madam will accept Ali, am I right? Yi Hua, Wei Chang, Lai Gu, Wei Chang, what you mean is for me to not make a move for now? Yi Hua asked curiously. Wei Chang nodded his head. That's right, let madam and little his honor get to know each other first, and let them develop a favorable impression of each other. Even if the matter is exposed, Madam Qingya wouldn't make things difficult for Ali, that makes sense. Yi Hua nodded his head. After remaining silent for a while, Yi Hua continued to ask, What do you guys think, should I accept that woman? Lai Gu raised his hand and answered. Speak. Lai Gu immediately said, Your Honor, subordinate feels that we must accept her. If little his honor is really born from her, then she should have a status. After all, little his honor is his honor's bloodline, a mother's status depends on her daughter. Wei Chang and Yi Zizi were startled. There's nothing wrong with what Lai Gu said. Lai Gu, I am very happy that you decided to use your brain and not your lower body. Lai Gu smiled complacently. Who said that I only know how to use my lower body? Just look at how his honor praised me. Your honor, then, when are we going to invite the other madam over? Wei Chang asked the crucial question. Yi Hua stepped on the cigarette and said gravely, wait for my order. Yes. 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 You guys can disperse now. Oh right, Wei Chang, take good care of those two non-mainstream people. Yi Hua instructed, then disappeared and appeared in the bedroom. Lai Gu went into a daze, then asked curiously, what non-mainstream people? The two humans who escorted his honor's bloodline back. Wei Chang laughed. F***K, those two fellows got lucky, his honor even specially instructed them to do so, formidable, formidable. Lai Gu gave a thumbs up, then disappeared from the toilet. Chapter 201. This caused Yi Hua to laugh out loud. Qinya, who was at the side, pouted her small mouth. When I want to play a few rounds with you, you are always unwilling. But when Ali wants to play with you, you are acting like this. This is not fair, I wanted to. Qinya was unwilling to accept it. Alright, Ali will bring Aunt Qing to the chicken dinner, Dong Huangli clapped her hands and said with a smile. Yi Hua said faintly, your Aunt Qinya is very noob. It's alright, Ali is already used to it. Qinya, you guys are such bullies carrying Ali. Yi Hua walked into Qin Yutong's room, and sure enough, everyone was sitting together in the fourth row. And when Yi Zizi and Dong Huangli meet each other, a battle would definitely be unavoidable. Aunt Yi, you killed one less person than Ali, hee, don't call me aunt. I'm only 8 years old. Acting young, but you are Auntie Qing's little sister. If Ali calls you big sister, then Ali also has to call Auntie Qing big sister. Ali feigned so confusing, Qinya and Qin Yutong couldn't help but laugh. Yi Hua sat at the side and silently looked at the four of them playing the game. In actuality, he was feeling very vexed in his heart. The appearance of Osli was too unexpected, to the point that he didn't know what to do. From the looks of it, Qinya's position in my heart is already very high, if not, I wouldn't be feeling this kind of emotion right now. If it was when I first met Qinya, I definitely wouldn't have so many worries. No matter how strong he was, he would still have to give up when he encountered family problems. It was really hard to be a human. Being a human was indeed difficult, but being a skeleton was much more enjoyable. For example, the current death mage had been having a great time in Ying family for the past few days. He would play games with Sun Fang every day, and when he ran out of money, he would ask Do Fusher to calculate for him. In the end, he dug up the entire Ying family. Who would have thought that the Ying family's feng shui was such a treasured place, with good stuff everywhere? The people of the Ying family complained incessantly. Although the two of them didn't interfere with the internal affairs of the Ying family and only played games every day, if this continued, the Ying family would soon fall apart. It was infuriating, but they didn't dare to do anything to them. Especially that youngster, every day, he would walk around Ying family with a compass, and as long as he was able to calculate something, he would ask Heavy Dust to directly dig it out. I really want to steal that compass. Fuck, those treasures were placed there by my Ying family's own people. Their goal was to create a man-made feng shui treasure land. The heavens want my Ying family to perish. Right now, within Ying family's side room, Death Mage and Sun Fang were lying on the bed with a solemn expression on their faces. Sun Fang could be heard mumbling, go and die, burp. After killing Sun Fang over 100 times, the Death Mage's warrior was finally defeated by Sun Fang's human wave attack. Looking at the fallen death mage on the screen, Sun Fang was stupefied. Gradually, her eyes turned red, and she started to choke with sobs. I finally killed it. He had finally gotten his revenge. Death Mage let out a sigh. In actuality, he had purposely fallen into Sun Fang's trap today. Seeing that Sun Fang was truly pitiful, he decided to give way to her. Sun Fang could be seen suddenly flipping her body over and riding on Death Mage's body, then smashed onto Death Mage's chest bone with her fists. Do you see this? I am going to kill you. Woo, 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 all of the grievances he had suffered for the past month had exploded out. It was all because of it that he was mocked by everyone and even chased out of the Cloud sect. In the end, I found the culprit, but I was completely unable to kill him. Despair. At that time, I was really in despair, and I even had the heart to die. Although I am unable to kill you in reality, I will kill you in the game. The idea is good, but I was also killed by Death Mage over 100 times in the game. This time, I finally won, and I am finally able to ride on Death Mage's body. Death Mage stretched out his bony finger and wiped off the tears on Sun Fang's face, then quickly typed, "Wife, you look good when you cry, you have to cry more often in the future." Sun Fang's face turned red as she gave Death Mage a kick. "Cry your sister." Death Mage was kicked off the bed. What a violent woman, I am starting to like this woman more and more. At Ing family's main hall, the family members were currently having a meeting. Everyone's face could be seen to be filled with unwillingness and anger. Ing Shang glared at Ing family's main hall with a pair of bell-like eyes. His chest was heaving up and down as he shouted out angrily, "Big brother. This voidless realm is going too far." Ing Jingshan, who was sitting on the main seat, had an extremely bad expression on his face, and his eyes were completely bloodshot. The latest news that he received today was that the Empress was actually looking for a little girl, and that little girl was her daughter. Illegitimate daughter. I didn't expect that the Empress was actually such a person. If it wasn't for a single sentence from her, how could there be such a huge change in Ing family within 2 days? My son wouldn't have died, and wouldn't have brought an even bigger disaster to Ing family. What the Empress did was the same as toying with Ing family's dignity. Ing Kongsher's injuries were more or less healed. Right now, he was also sitting at the side and said hurriedly, "I won't blame the Empress for having an illegitimate daughter. As long as I marry her, everything will be fine." Hearing Ing Kongsher still saying such words, everyone couldn't help but want to slap him to death. Chapter 202. Ing Kongsher, who was on the ground, lowered his head, not daring to look straight at Sun Fang. Meanwhile, all of the people from Ing family ran out and cupped their hands respectfully. "Lady Sun." Sun Fang nodded her head silently, then said with a light smile, "Don't be nervous, I am just passing by. You all can continue with your meeting." All of the relatives were shocked, and Ing Jingshan hurriedly said, "Lady Sun, don't misunderstand, we are very loyal to his honor." "That would be for the best," Sun Fang said. After pausing for a moment, Ing Jingshan continued, "Lady Sun, we were discussing about Voidless Realm just now." "And?" Sun Fang was puzzled for a moment. Voidless Realm. Voidless Realm. Although I was the sect master in the past, I was still very unfamiliar with the 3 big shots. I had only heard of them before. Ing Shang added, "Lady Sun, Voidless Realm is one of the 3 big shots, and they are the power that controls the entire north." "Why? Did they provoke you?" Sun Fang asked. Ing Jingshan said gravely, "Lady Sun, Voidless Realm's Empress originally wanted to marry my son into her family, but it was only recently that we found out that the Empress has an illegitimate daughter." What's wrong with someone else having a daughter?" Sun Fang asked curiously. "What a coincidence, the one that Voidless Realm's Empress snatched the Empress's goods." Everyone lowered their heads slightly, and Ing Jingshan continued, "The Empress has always been known as holy and noble, and to be able to obtain the Empress's favor, we, Ying family, feel honored. However, the Empress actually has an illegitimate daughter. Not only did the Empress deceive the world, she even trampled on our Ying family's dignity. If that was really the case, we, Ying family, would have just endured it. However, the situation is different now. The Empress has trampled on his honor's face. Ying Jingshan wasn't a fool. He knew that going against Voidless Realm would definitely cause them to suffer losses. However, if his honor were to make a move, it would only take a few minutes for his honor to make a move. With a light smile on her face, Sun Fang nodded her head. His honor won't bother about you three big shots, and he won't make a move either. Lady Sun, you are mistaken. Everyone in Ying family listens to his honor's orders. Even if we want to make a move against Voidless Realm, we would still have to get his honor's permission. After all, we don't dare to mess with his honor's plans. Sun Fang nodded her head silently. What you said makes sense. I will report this matter to the higher-ups. Dou Fusher was about to faint. Sister-in-law was so imposing, so imposing. She had completely suppressed this group of high and mighty Ying family members, and they didn't even dare to raise their heads. If Dou Fusher were to know that Sun Fang possessed a command plate that could instantly destroy Ying family, he would understand why this group of people lowered their heads. Everyone's lives were in the hands of others. Not to mention lowering their heads, they had no choice but to kneel and lick their boots. Sun Fang waved her hand, indicating that you all can continue with your work. I won't be accompanying you all in this meeting. I might as well go back and recharge my money to play games. Then, I can kill the demonic beasts a few more times. Lord Sun, this subordinate still has one more thing to report. Ying Jingshan took a step forward and hastily shouted. Sun Fang stopped in her tracks, but she didn't turn around. Speak. This matter was caused by the fight over the ancient godly item last time. The North is openly snatching the ancient godly item. Before Sun Fang finished speaking, Sun Fang had already walked towards the outside and said calmly, "It is fine for you all to decide on this kind of small matter yourselves. His honor doesn't have the time to care about it." The corner of Ying family's relative's mouth twitched slightly. I have seen formidable people before, but I have never seen such formidable people before. If this is considered a small matter, then what is considered a big matter? Of course, it was a family conflict. After Sun Fang returned to the room, she told Death Mage about this matter. After hearing what Sun Fang said, Death Mage went silent for a moment. I heard from my master that his honor wants to cause a dispute between the North and the South as soon as possible. Regardless of whether it is the small matter or the big matter, his honor still wants to first seek his honor's opinion. Next, Death Mage sent the information to his honor via WeChat. Wei Chang immediately replied, "Don't send WeChat messages in the future, it is a waste of my data." Death Mage was greatly shocked and promised that he would report to his honor personally in the future. Yi Hua, who was currently watching the two adults and two children playing games in the room, heard that Wei Chang had something to report to him. Wei Chang's figure appeared very quickly. Kneeling down on one knee, Wei Chang shouted respectfully, "Subordinate pays respect to his honor." "N." Yi Hua replied faintly as he took out a cigarette and lit it up. "Sun Fang just sent news over." Wei Chang bowed slightly and said. Yi Hua puffed out a mouthful of smoke, then leaned against the window and signaled Wei Chang to continue speaking. Recalling the contents of Death Mage's report, Wei Chang said, "The godly item that his honor subdued that day is one of the three big shots, Ying family. These three big shots control the entire North and South, and Ying family belongs to the South." Yi Hua replied faintly, seemingly not in the mood to cause any trouble. Wei Chang knew that his honor was vexed, but he still had to continue reporting. This Ying family was originally going to have a marriage alliance with one of the big shots in the North. However, it seems that they were cheated, and Ying family's face was completely lost. Thus, Ying family wanted to regain their face. Yihua said faintly, then, we will try to curry favor with Ying family. However, we will not get involved in this matter, it is meaningless for us to fight with one side. Subordinate has already informed his honor, we will not get involved in their dispute. That's good then. I wonder if one of the 3 big shots would be replaced. If there is such a rule, then it would be fun. Yihua sneered. When I am vexed, only blood can calm me down. Wei Chang said respectfully, subordinate will go and ask his honor. Also, there is one more matter. Regarding the ancient godly item battle that happened last time, the South intends to take revenge. That's good then, this was originally my plan. Keep an eye on Xiao Yi's side, don't let him die, he is still useful. Yes. Subordinate has already left a trace of my aura on his Xianyuan sword, so that his honor can have fun with it. Wei Chang said with a slight smile. Seems like what I did back then was correct. Since his honor is in a bad mood, he can only kill someone. I wonder who will be the unlucky one. Yihua had the same intention, not bad. Being able to share his honor's worries is subordinate's greatest honor. Yihua laughed lightly and patted onto Wei Chang's shoulder. How are you getting along with little Tang? It is still in the midst of planning. Wei Chang laughed dryly and said. I wonder when I will be able to push down little Tang. Recently, little Tang has been cooking soup for me frequently, and I am about to explode from drinking too much of it. Yihua sighed lightly and said, sometimes, we have to learn from Lai Gu. There is no need to be so particular about it, just directly push down little Tang. Although Lai Gu's method is convenient, it cannot be compared to his honor's method. How honorable is Madam? Naturally, she cannot be compared to ordinary human women. Conquering the body is easy, but conquering the heart is hard. Wei Chang's words hit Yihua's heart. Yihua laughed lightly. Wei Chang, you are still the one who understands my intentions well. Subordinate is also just stating facts. Wei Chang revealed a smile. His honor's praise is even more satisfying than killing someone. In the past, his honor always said that I am stupid, but now, I am finally able to share his honor's worries. If Zhu Tian was here, he would definitely give the title of number 1 wisdom to you. A slight arc appeared on the corner of Yihua's mouth. It is still useful to think about happy things. Wei Chang said very modestly, subordinate's wisdom is not even half as good as Zhu Tian's, and it is even more inferior to his honors. Chapter 203. Yihua took a look at the time. It's almost noon, I should go out and eat. Yihua walked into Qin Yutong's room and saw that the fight inside was in full swing. Yihua looked at his child who was standing on the stool and twisting her little butt. Her hands were not even as big as a mouse, she was too cute. Uncle, come and play. Ollie will bring you to eat chicken, I guarantee that I won't steal your limelight. Dong Huangli turned her head around and shouted with a smile, revealing 2 cute dimples. Yihua had heard this sentence many times. Every time, little Ollie would not keep her word. This bad habit of hers must have been learned from her mother. Qinya laughed, even your uncle is afraid of you, you always steal uncle's limelight. Ollie didn't do it on purpose. Are you going to let Ollie watch uncle's head explode in front of you? Dong Huangli pouted her little mouth and said, causing everyone to laugh. Yihua was also quite speechless. Being teased by my own child, however, Yihua did not get angry and said, Ollie, it's already noon, what do you want to eat? Ollie can just eat steamed buns, it will save uncle money. Hearing this, Qin Yutong felt her heart ache. Ollie, uncle and aunt have plenty of money, you can eat whatever you want. Really? On the way here, Ollie ate all of Uncle Green and Red's money, causing Uncle Green and Red to starve. Ollie doesn't want you two to starve too. Dong Huangli pouted her mouth, and her eyes immediately turned red. Thinking up to here, Dong Huangli choked with sobs. Ali will always harm people wherever she goes. Woo woo. Seeing this, Qinya also felt her heart ache. She carried Dong Huangli in her embrace and comforted her. Ali is really sensible, but sensible children shouldn't cry, but Ali just can't hold it in. Dong Huangli nestled in Qinya's embrace and said pitifully. Seeing how sad his child was, Yihua felt very upset. Just what kind of mother am I? How can I let my child suffer? If not for Ali, I would definitely hang her up and beat her up, and let her know that as a mother, I cannot let my child suffer. Yihua carried Dong Huangli and said gravely, Ali, just tell me what you want to eat, I can let you eat anything in this world. Uncle, you are so good to Ali, you are even better than mother. Dong Huangli hugged onto Yihua's neck and said. Hearing these words, Yihua felt very comfortable in his heart. However, when he thought about how Ali's mother made Ali kneel on the keyboard, he immediately became angry. Just you wait. At that time, I, the Supreme Overlord, will also make you kneel on the keyboard. You dare to abuse my child? Yihua rubbed onto Dong Huangli's back, then said to everyone, let's go out and eat first. Everyone smiled and stood up. Qinya asked her little sister in a low voice, Yutong, don't you feel that Yihua is very concerned about Ali? Big Brother Green raised his hand and slapped onto Little Brother Red's hand. Are you an idiot? I was smelling to see if it is poison or not. Big Brother, can you even smell if it is poison? I am afraid that you will not be poisoned to death, but will be suffocated to death. Little Brother Red stretched out his hand and smelled the pellet. Just now, it was my right hand that grabbed onto the pellet. Big Brother Green was very annoyed. Forget it, I will decide if I want to eat it or not tonight. This black pellet is a good thing, to other people, it is a treasure, but when it fell into the hands of the Green and Red brothers, they were hesitating. After all, the pellet was taken out from Wei Chang's crotch, who knows what it is. After everyone walked out of the alley, Qin Yutong said with a smile, Ali, do you want to eat hot pot? There is a hot pot shop opposite of here, and the taste of the hot pot is pretty good. Dong Huangli looked towards the direction of the hot pot shop, then immediately buried her head into Yihua's embrace. Ali, don't go there, there is a bad guy over there. Ali, what's wrong? Qinya rubbed onto Dong Huangli's head and asked consolingly. Ali doesn't like that hot pot shop, uncle, can we not go there? Dong Huangli begged. This expression of hers made Yihua feel very sad. Yihua said gravely, the two of you, come over here. The Green and Red brothers immediately walked over, feeling a bit nervous. Why doesn't Ali want to go there? Yihua asked coldly. The Green and Red brothers took a look at each other, and Big Brother Green said, Boss, yesterday, we passed by that hot pot shop, but when the boss of that hot pot saw that our clothes were dirty and messy, he chased us away. My little brother and I went to the hot pot shop to argue with the boss, and in the end, the boss of that hot pot shop chased us away. After arguing with the boss of that hot pot shop, Big Brother Green's choice of words was really sharp. Yihua finally understood what was going on, and he asked Dong Huangli who was in his embrace, Ali, was it like this? Uncle, back then, Ali was indeed dirty and messy, and it affected other people's appetite. Dong Huangli's words made everyone feel uncomfortable. Chapter 204. My child was actually chased out of the restaurant by a puny human. When Yihua heard this news, his expression darkened. Seeing that Yihua's expression wasn't good, Dong Huangli pulled onto her collar and said, Uncle, don't be angry. Yihua said gravely, Ali, be good, Uncle will teach you one thing today. Dong Huangli pursed her lips, then nodded her head and said, Ali will definitely study hard. Qinya still didn't know about Yihua's theory and said hurriedly, Yihua, don't teach the child bad things. Yihua didn't pay attention to Dong Huangli and walked towards King Song Residence's hot pot restaurant. Yi Zizi and the Green and Red brothers followed closely behind. Big sister, let's go. Qing Yutong shouted lightly. Qingye sighed lightly, then followed behind Yihua. When they arrived at King Song Residence's hotpot restaurant, Yihua paused for a moment. I feel that something is wrong. Before they even entered the restaurant, they could already hear the customers scolding. What's wrong with your restaurant? Why did the taste of the soup change? That's right. What kind of bullshit taste is this? Ask your boss to come out. F***K, you are using this kind of thing to fool people. The restaurant is bullying the customers. Yihua knew what was wrong, the number of customers was decreasing. In the past, there would be a queue outside the restaurant at noon. However, today, there was no such situation, and there was actually a customer who said that the soup did not taste good. Big brother, when we came yesterday, there was a long queue outside the restaurant. Why is there no one here today? Little brother Red said confusedly as he looked around. Big brother Green raised his hand and slapped, Idiot, don't you know that people in the city like to hire actors? At this moment, a man who was wearing a suit hurriedly walked down the stairs and arrived in front of those customers who were clamoring, Everyone, what's the matter? What matter? Have a taste, is this even something that humans eat? The man said embarrassedly, I am really sorry, I just took over this restaurant today, if the taste is not good, I will immediately ask the chef to change it. Treat today's meal as my treat, free of charge. F***K, who cares? Those customers said in disdain, then picked up the food and left, leaving the restaurant in an instant. The man sighed and shook his head. Big brother Green said gravely, the one who worked yesterday was a little fat. Big brother, didn't you notice that everyone in this shop has changed? Little brother Red sized up the shop for a bit, and all of the waitresses that he saw yesterday have changed. The two of them looked at each other. Ignoring the surprised look of the boss, they rushed into the kitchen and came out after a while. F***CK, even the chef has been changed. Little brother Red found it hard to believe. Wei Chong cried out in surprise. Wei Chong said gravely, Your Honor, leave this matter to subordinate to handle. No need, I, the Supreme Overlord, like this kind of surprise. If everything is just a routine, then it would be meaningless. I would like to see what kind of surprise the other party can give me. Subordinate is thinking too much. After cutting off the contact with Wei Chong, Yihua thought to himself. Seems like I have finally met a decent opponent. Since 4 years ago, the people that I have been monitoring are all humans. Not bad. Unique way of thinking. If not for Ali's appearance, they would have continued monitoring us. Suddenly, Yihua thought of a possibility. Why did they suddenly retreat? Could it be that they know about my relationship with Ali? They know that I am coming over to take revenge. That's why they retreated overnight. Cunning humans, this time, I will use my brain to play with you all and make you all sincerely convinced. Also, these two green and red fur brothers have pretty good vigilance. Since they are able to protect Ali during the journey, I will let them continue to protect Ali's safety. After all, it is indeed not good for my child to not have a few bodyguards by his side. But, their attire, Qingye, give them some money and buy some clothes. Yihua said lightly. If others were to find out that they are my subordinates, wouldn't they laugh at me for not having money? Qingye nodded her head. The clothes that they are wearing are indeed a bit. At this moment, Big Brother Green wiped his mouth and said nervously, Boss, I have something that I want to talk to you about. Yihua drank a mouthful of Sprite, then said faintly, Speak. Big Brother Green said hurriedly, Yesterday, us two brothers brought Ali along to look for you all. We went to a bar, and that bar owner actually wanted to capture Ali. I reckon that the bar owner seems to be a human trafficker. Luckily, we managed to run away, and the bar owner even sent people to chase after us. That's right, that woman is a bad person, and there was even a man with her. Little brother Red added. Dong Wangli placed down the bone in her hand and said, if it wasn't for Uncle Green and Uncle Red, Ollie would have been captured and sold away yesterday. Chapter 205. She wasn't by her child's side, and such things happened one after another. Do you really think that I don't have a temper? Yihua said gravely, I will head over there later. Qinya was filled with worry, she was afraid that Yihua would do something extreme. Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi were very excited, we are able to see brother-in-law act cool again. As long as brother-in-law acts, it will definitely be extremely awesome. The Green and Red brothers were actually very worried. Were they really going to go together? Looking at them, he was afraid that only he and his little brother had the ability to fight. It seemed that there would be a fight. Meanwhile, Dong Li's heart felt warm. This kind of warmth is something that I have never felt before. I like Uncle more and more, I like him more and more, I like him even more than my mother. It had to be said that this was the advantage of having a bloodline. Even if they hadn't met for a long time, as long as they were close to each other, that warmth would appear. Even though they hadn't acknowledged each other yet, it was still better than acknowledging each other. Lead the way. Yihua said coldly while carrying on to Dong Wangli. Big Brother Green felt a bit awkward and said in a low voice, Boss, this is also my first time coming to a big city. I am not familiar with the road, but I know that the bar is called Baidu Bar. Navigation. Yihua said gravely. Why do I have to take in two idiots, to think that I have to teach them everything? Little Brother Red immediately took out his phone and led the way with Big Brother Green. This kind of combination caused the passers-by to exclaim endlessly. There was a child, there was a beauty, there was a little lowly, and there was even a non-mainstream. Could this be the most popular Heavenly King combination this year? Only a puppy would be able to become famous if they made a debut, but if they lied, they would become famous. Not long after, the group arrived at the entrance of the Baidu Bar. It was only 2 in the afternoon, and the door was closed. However, there were 2 men smoking at the entrance. Boss, it's the one in the jacket. He took us in yesterday. Big Brother Green hurriedly stepped forward and said. With the support of the boss, there was nothing to be afraid of. However, he still had to be prepared to protect little Ollie. It would be troublesome to bring 3 women along. Although my Big Brother Green is extraordinary, punching the surrounding villages and kicking the various clans, he still can't withstand the enemy's human wave tactics. Big Brother, if we really fight later, you protect Ollie, and I'll protect the lady boss. Little Brother Red's expression was very serious, unprecedentedly serious, as if he was about to encounter the most difficult moment in his life. Big Brother Green sighed heavily. All right, if I, Big Brother, unfortunately die today, remember to take good care of my mother. Don't worry, Big Brother. If I die today, please take good care of my old man. The Green and Red brothers held each other's hands tightly. We'll still be good brothers in the afterlife. Good brother. Uncle Green, Uncle Red, what are you guys doing? Hurry up and come in. The Green and Red brothers turned their heads to look. How did they all enter? What about the 2 men? Just as he adjusted his mood, his aura swelled to an unprecedented level. They actually all entered. Big Brother. It must be those 2 who threatened the boss. Quick! Rush in and save them. All right. The Green and Red brothers squeezed out their killing intent and charged into the bar. A minute later, the Green and Red brothers stood behind everyone with flushed faces. They wished they could crawl into a crack in the wall. This was too embarrassing. Qinya and Qin Yutong covered their mouths and laughed lightly, and Dong Wangli, who was in Yihua's embrace, laughed to the point that she was lying down. A trace of a smile appeared on Yihua's face. Yi Zizi shook her head helplessly. Are you guys here to be funny? The green and red brothers expressed that we are here to be funny. Although it was funny, the green and red brothers were also shocked by the scene in front of them. Those two men were actually floating in the air, and it seemed like their hands were tied behind their back. Moreover, their faces were filled with pain. Are you sure that this isn't a magic show? Call your boss out. Yihua said faintly. The one who made a move was naturally not Yihua, but Yizizi. These ants weren't worth Yihua making a move. The two young men who were tied up in the air felt very uncomfortable, and it seemed like they didn't even have the strength to speak. Chinya slowly turned her face away. She couldn't bear to look at this scene. Uncle sure is formidable, but since they are tied up, they don't seem to be able to call out for help, right? Dong Huangli said naively. Yizizi placed one of the men down, and as expected, that man hurriedly called for help. Isn't it just a special ability? Let me tell you guys. Our boss is acquainted with special ability users. You guys are dead for sure. Yizizi's hand moved, and the man who was clamoring just a moment ago was hung up again. Yihua, it is enough to just teach them a lesson, don't kill them. Chinya said in a low voice. She couldn't bear to do such a thing. Yihua said faintly, Chinya, today, not only do we have to teach Ali a lesson, you are also the same. Being soft-hearted will only harm others. Chinya wrinkled her brows and didn't argue with Yihua. After all, they were outside. Chinya, if it wasn't for those two brothers, do you think that Ali would still be here right now? Right now, we don't even know where he was sold to. If you pity them, who will pity Ali? Hearing Yihua's reprimand, Chinya was unable to refute, because that was indeed the case. Uncle, don't bully Aunt Qing. Dong Huangli said with a childish voice, Ali doesn't know. Kuin Chang's and Qing Lian's smiles stiffened. Was the boss planning to fall out with them? Kuin Chong and Qing Lian had overestimated themselves. At most, they were just tools to educate their wives and children. Boss, I don't think that's a good idea. Kuin Chong squeezed out a smile. He could no longer hide his anger. Qing Lian stopped smiling and said coldly, Boss, we can compensate you, but you can't humiliate us like this. Yihua still didn't pay attention to him and continued to teach the child. Ali, think about it, if it wasn't for the green and red brothers last night and you were caught by them, what kind of consequences would you have had? Could it be that Ali doesn't hate them? Yihua asked lightly. Dong Huangli slightly frowned, then said in a low voice, Ali hates them. They don't just want to kidnap Ali alone, there are also many children that are Ali's age that were sold by them, and their whereabouts are unknown. Ali, do you think that people like Ali can still live in this world? Although Yihua didn't have a child, he had raised Yizizi before. Furthermore, Yizizi was one of the big shots of the 7 sins. Thus, teaching Yizizi this way was very easy. Alright, this is purely teaching Yizizi. Can't. Sure enough, Ali's answer was very straightforward. Chinya, who was at the side, couldn't bear to watch anymore and snatched Dong Huangli over. Yihua, Ali is still so young, how can you teach her this? The goal of today's education had already been achieved. Yihua wanted to hear the child's final answer. As expected of the bloodline of the Supreme Overlord, she was born with a bloodthirsty bloodline. As for Chinya, I still have to take it slow. Boss, you are going too far. Qing Lian shouted out, then actually took out a lady's pistol. The green and red brothers who were at the back immediately turned pale with fright, then squatted down while holding on to their heads. The people in the city are too scary, they would take out guns for no reason, unlike us in the countryside, at most, we can only use water pipes to fight, we are not allowed to use knives. While everyone was being pointed at by the gun, Qingya tightly held on to Dong Huangli, and her gaze flickered with a cold glint. Chinya, They want to kill us. Do you still insist on calling the police? Yihua took out a cigarette and lit it up, then sat down. Qingye let out a sigh. Up to you. The corner of Yihua's mouth arced upwards. Seems like I didn't come here for nothing today. I have to look for more textbooks like this in the future and bring them along to learn from them. Just look at my sister-in-law, they will become much more sensible. Qing Lian's gaze turned cold, and she who had a heart like a snake continuously pulled the trigger. Bang, bang, bang. A series of gunshots rang out, and golden bullets flew towards Yihua and the others. Suddenly, a few sparks flickered in the sky, and soon after, golden bullets could be seen falling onto the ground. Yizizi stretched out her small hand and yawned, and a strand of her hair quietly retracted back into her body. Qing Lian tightly wrinkled her brows. As expected, a pistol is useless against them. The green and red brothers were simply scared to the point of peeing in their pants. This is just like a gunfight in a Hong Kong movie, so scary. Are the two of you still not going to call for help? Yihua said lightly. What's the point of killing two small fries? The ones behind them are the ones that are interesting. Kuin Chong knew that the other party wouldn't let this matter go easily, but he still said, Boss, if I were to let this matter go, you two can leave. However, if I were to make this phone call, the consequences would be very serious, and even I am afraid of the consequences. Yizizi suddenly laughed out. This human is so funny. However, why aren't his honor and the others laughing? I am the only one laughing, I seem so stupid. Yizizi immediately stopped laughing. Call. Yihua wanted to see who the other party is. This bragging is about to reach the heavens. Even I, the Supreme Overlord, have never acted like this. The way I handle things is as low profile as always, and I have never killed humans indiscriminately, and I am also not like how I was in the past when I would exterminate a family for no reason. Kuin Chong immediately made the phone call. However, in Yihua's eyes, their lives were already starting to count down. I have already given you two a chance. If you two don't want it, then don't blame me for it. Kuin Chong laughed. Qing Lian leaned onto Kuin Chong's shoulder with one of her hands. Brother Kuin, from what I see, this boss is only a so-so. From the looks of it, rumors are just rumors, we have to see it for ourselves. Kuin Chong stretched out his hand and slapped onto Qing Lian's plump and perky butt. You are still acting so wanton in front of so many people. Brother Kuin, don't you like this kind of thing? Qingye immediately covered Dong Huang Li's eyes. Children shouldn't be able to see, and they shouldn't be able to hear. Little brother Red, who was at the back, stretched out his hand and covered his big brother's line of sight. Big brother, if you look too much, you will be executed later on. Then why are you still looking at it? I will tell you after I finish looking at it. Little brother Red looked at the phone with great interest. Big brother Green stretched out his hand and slapped onto his own head. How are you going to tell me such a scene? Don't worry, I described it very well. Back then, I even prepared to write a novel, and I even wrote a few chapters and uploaded them. The results were not bad, but in the end, my novel was banned. Big brother Green said in a low voice, actually, back then, I read the novel, and the writing was indeed not bad. Every time, I would have to take off my pants, really. I remember that you were also present at that time. Chapter 207. 10 minutes later, a roar rang out on the street outside of Baidu Bar. Just by listening to the roar, one could tell that it was a supercar with at least 10 cylinders. As expected. A mad cow drove over from the distance. The low body of the car and the smooth lines of the car made the men on the street reveal out passionate gazes, while the girls wanted to see who was driving the car and expressed that they wanted to get on the car to enjoy the air conditioner. The two Lamborghini could be seen stopping at the entrance of Baidu Bar. The scissor door opened from both sides, and two young men walked out of the car. The person who was driving the car wore sunglasses and had an imposing appearance, causing the girls to be infatuated with him. And the co-driver had a respectful expression, looking like a lackey. "Young master, the old master is still waiting for you to return home." The attendant's name was Chongqing, and he looked rather handsome. Ding Yuanwu twisted his neck. "I will return home after I teach a lesson to some blind people." Ding Yuanwu was the son of Ding family. Although he was the youngest in the family, he was indeed the son of the family head Ding Yuan's most beloved woman, causing Ding Yuanwu to be spoiled since he was young. In the secular world, he was a famous playboy, and hunting women was his biggest hobby. This bar was also opened by Ding Yuanwu, and he would come here to hunt women whenever he had nothing to do. This time, when he was preparing to return home to report, his lackey just happened to call him and said that someone was causing trouble in the bar, so he came over to take a look. As the son of Ding family, how could he swallow this anger? It would have been fine if he didn't know, but now that he knew, he definitely had to vent his anger. Bringing along his attendant, Ding Yuanwu walked into the bar. Chongqing helplessly followed behind, thinking to himself, "Young master can't go on like this, those few big brothers are eyeing you covetously, they have long found you unpleasant." When Ding Yuanwu walked into the bar, he immediately took off his sunglasses and stared fixedly at Qin Yutong, and Yi Zizi. "If I were to take down these three, I will not be able to get off the bed for the rest of my life. Kuin Chong made a great contribution this time, I will be rewarded." "Young master, it's them." Kuin Chong quickly walked to the front of Ding Yuanwu, not knowing that he only had 10 minutes left to live. Ding Yuanwu patted on Kuin Chong's shoulder. "You did well. Thank you for your praise, young master." Ding Yuanwu walked past Kuin Chong and arrived not far away from Yi Hua. Ding Yuanwu took a look at the two people who were floating in the air and said, "Your strength is not bad, but you are still just a frog at the bottom of a well." Yi Hua said faintly, "Yutong, bring Qin and leave first, this is not suitable for children." "Yes, brother-in-law." Just as Ding Yuanwu wanted to stop him, he realized that he couldn't move his body at all. He looked a little panicked. Big Brother Green and Little Brother Red followed behind them and prepared to leave. The city was too scary. "You two stay behind," Yi Hua said faintly. Big Brother Green and Little Brother Red's hearts sunk as they walked back to where they came from. Seeing that Qin and Qin Yutong had left, Yi Hua slowly stood up, then said coldly towards Ding Yuanwu, "Is there anyone else behind you?" "Who are you?" Attendant Chongqing shouted. He actually dared to disrespect the young master, courting death. Yi Hua didn't reply. "Conversing with these ants is already beneath my status, and today, I am also seeking justice for my child." Chongqing's face darkened, and his body disappeared instantly. His speed was even faster than Long Outyan's, and it was shocking. In the blink of an eye, he appeared behind Yi Hua, and the dagger in his hand ruthlessly pierced towards Yi Hua's temple. Ding Yuanwu, who was being controlled, sneered. "You guys know nothing about my attendant." However, a second later, Ding Yuanwu went into a daze and shouted out hurriedly, "Chongqing, what are you standing there for? Go and stab him." Chongqing stood behind Yi Hua, and the dagger was only a centimeter away from Yi Hua's temple. "Seems like you don't have any backup, Zizi, I will reward you." Yi Hua extinguished the cigarette and walked towards the outside. Yi Zizi grinned, "Thank you, big cousin." After Yi Hua left, Chongqing was exposed to everyone's vision. A strand of hair could be seen passing through the back of his head from his forehead. His entire body was trembling weakly, and his eyes were rolling upwards, as if his head was being sucked by something. The Green and Red brothers hugged each other tightly. Why does this scene look like an alien? Looking at Chongqing's appearance, everyone took in a breath of cold air, especially Ding Yuanwu. He looked as if he had seen a ghost. "My attendant is one of the top-ranked attendants in the family, and he was actually killed in an instant. How is this possible? Just who is that little lowly? I am the son of Ding family. If you dare to kill me, just wait to be hunted down by Ding family. Ding Yuanwu's gaze was fierce. These people are too arrogant. If I let them know of my identity, they will definitely kneel down and beg for mercy. Yi Zizi licked her scarlet lips and slowly walked out, while Chongqing was hanging behind her. Chongqing's entire body began to tremble violently, and his skin was quickly fading away. Big brother, you are the son of Ding family. When I have time, I will tell your family. Don't worry, very soon, there will be no more pain. Yi Zizi's lowly voice was especially alluring, but this kind of scene was like the demonic voice from hell, shaking the hearts of everyone.